Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live on Facebook every morning at 10:30, where we gather to take a look at headlines, stories, comments, suggestions, and ideas to have an amazing life here in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community of locals. It is always a pleasure to get together. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had fun yesterday at Sunday Fun Day. We shared and discussed 10 amazing YouTube music documentaries that you can watch right away in different genres of music. So I hope that some of our friends that joined us yesterday had a chance to take a look at one or several or however many you chose to explore. If this is your first visit, my name is Paco, and we always welcome new friends here at Coffee and Headlines. We'd love to know that you're new, so if you write the word new on your comment, we'll be able to give you a proper welcome. And if you have a specific comment or question that you would like to share, that would like to have acknowledged during the broadcast, it helps a lot if you write the letter Q before your question. That way we get to it during the broadcast, and if not, I make sure to get to it afterwards and answer it if we have the answer. If not, we promise we won't make it up because we don't do fake news around here, or at least we try not to anyway. That is so funny because this is one of the things that I was wondering about today. Logan asks, did Governor Alfaro go on vacation? Well, I was wondering the same thing because yesterday, Governor Alfaro did not make his usual Sunday COVID statement. And then this morning, he didn't make one either. And it wasn't until 10 minutes ago, literally, when I had already planned the entire broadcast that Governor Alfaro had something to share with the population. So we will take a look at his remarks in a second. Let me take a quick look to see who else is here before we move on with the news. Emiliano Zapata's in the house. Hola, William. Randall's in the North Shore. Good to see you. The Ozarks never fail. Hello, Sherry Cooper. San Miguel de Allende, Christine, I hope you guys are doing well. I understand that the state of Guanajuato took a step back in the national COVID stoplight, so I hope things are well in your neck of the wood. Doug is in Texas. Hello, Doug, and he's looking forward to coming down here. That always makes me happy. Michael, I hope you enjoyed yesterday's broadcast. If not, it's all about music, and I'm sure you will find something wonderful there to share. I read this bit of news, Doug, and we're going to talk about this today. Thank you very much for sharing it with us. And hello, Thomas. Thomas, if you need a good hairdo or a bad hairdo or a fabulous hairdo, Thomas can take care of it. And if he doesn't, I am sure that somebody else in his beautiful salon can help you out. Okay. So I see a lot of good mornings. There is a question here. We rarely hear anything about Mexican veterans. Are you doing an upcoming segment on them? If you mean by Mexican veterans, Mexicans that went to war and now are veterans, that's a really interesting question, Joe. I never thought about it because Mexico has not been a country that has gone to war. I do know that people that have worked for the government and retire have their pensions, but let me look into that. Let me see what I can research. I honestly don't know much on the subject matter, but I will at least Google it and see what shows up on the radar. Um, um, Paco just said fake news. Thankfully, that isn't a problem here. Well, Terry, you'd be surprised. Again, we keep talking about choosing your tribes, and if not fake news per se, I do see a lot of speculation online, both from the media in Mexico, and I also see a lot of speculation on social media like Facebook. And we will share a very specific case of this in a little while in our news section because. Well, I don't want to get ahead of me, but of myself. But yes, we will talk about speculation in a moment because I think your comment is very very timely. La da da la li la la. Pam, 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 pam. Oh, thank you for that, for getting back to us, Christine. Some restrictions in San Miguel de Allende, but I'm glad that things are business as usual. I hope people are taking good care of yourselves over there. I miss San Miguel de Allende. It's one of my favorite places in Mexico to go. Do I know what Nayarit is going yellow will change? Not specifically, Amanda, but the information on the federal guidelines is clearly outlined in the Mexican government's website. So all you have to do is go to the proper website and find out what happens to states that are in the yellow, and you will find the answer to your question. As you know, the state of Jalisco does not go by that standard, so I couldn't tell you specifically what's going on. Uh, Ricky just shared a huge long thing about vaccines. I will take a look at that later, and I think we're pretty much caught up. Oh, good. Sheila watched the Sanborn session with Michael McDonald and Brian Owen and really enjoyed it. That makes me very happy to hear. Um, and we are pretty much caught up with comments. So let's dive into the news and see what's going on in the world, or rather, in our world. Well, for starters, as I mentioned, I thought we were going to have a where in the world is Governor Alfaro type of encounter today because he was missing in action. That said, Governor Alfaro was probably very busy last week making sure that his second address to the state, his second informe, his annual formal speech about how things are going in the state of Jalisco, took a lot of his time last week, I imagine. But he did put out a video this morning because I'm sure some of his advisors must have said, well, dude, what's going on with COVID? And his message was short. It was delivered on Facebook as usual. He talked about decreasing delinquency, increase in jobs. I mean, he was very generic. And as far as COVID, he said that he will give a complete report on Thursday, which is the last day for the emergency button period. And of course, he also mentioned that by Thursday, we will see some results that have to do with mobility, how much people were out or not out when they were supposed to be or not. But it is going to be a little early to look at COVID numbers just because of the nature of the disease. But Governor Alfaro seemed to be very optimistic about what's going on with COVID and this and that. So we'll have to just wait and see. What does that mean for us? It means that we have 4 more days of emergency button mode here in Puerto Vallarta, and we must continue to follow the guidelines that we know so well: face masks, safe distancing, and staying home when you don't need to be out and about. Moving right along, and here's where I want to start talking a little bit about speculation and fake news. Um, as you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the election in the United States, and we have vowed to stay kind and stay compassionate as we talk about this moving forward, because as we know, there are people that win, but there are also people that lose, and how we conduct ourselves in the light of that amongst people that we know and people that may not have our same political views is going to be our challenge. How kind are we going to be to those people that are on the other side of that situation? Instead, we are going to focus on what this new ticket means to Mexico. as far as our relationship with the United States is concerned. Now, needless to say, he's not even, Joe Biden is not even in the White House yet, but there's already speculation about what's going to happen between his government and Mexico. And it all started with our president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who was one of, I don't know how many countries or how many presidents or important dignitaries that has not congratulated Joe Biden on his White House win. Our president has said, I am choosing not to make any statement until the dust settles, until all the judicial and the vote counting and all this circus, for the lack of another word, is over. So he has been criticized for this, our president has, and he has been in headlines all over the world. The Guardian wrote about this, Yahoo News wrote about it. I'm going to share some pieces. So why would our president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, choose not to congratulate Joe Biden just yet? Everybody has come up with their own speculative theories. There's a few things that are important to keep in mind when the Mexican presidential election took place in 2006 and Andrés Manuel López Obrador was trying to become president of Mexico. He was in a similar situation as Donald Trump is, in a place where he did not trust the system and he felt that votes needed to be counted again and again and again. So he has been there, and that's one way in which that could explain where he's coming from. Another way could simply be the way he is. The fact that he's a president that just sees things a certain way. It could be completely personal conviction. And then there are those that speculate that our president is concerned about whatever backlash he might get from Trump's government while he's still in office in terms of retaliation if he goes ahead and supports Joe Biden at this moment. So we don't know what's on his mind. All we know is a few things are certain, or at least certain to me. There is an immense priority in the United States to control COVID and other kinds of things. So I strongly believe that I don't think Joe Biden is going to be wondering why the Mexican government is choosing not to congratulate him or not. This particular news item from Noticias PV reminds us of some interesting numbers that I want to share with you. Presently, there are approximately 60 million of Hispanics living in the United States, out of which 36.6 come from Mexico. That is over half of the Hispanic population in the United States. And conversely, Mexico has a population of 750,000 folks from the United States, which represents 74.4 of the entire American population that is not living in the United States. So needless to say, the relationship between our countries is very tied together, and we will have to wait and see in the future, once things get settled in the United States, how both our country and the United States are going to continue having whatever relationships we have. We know the trade agreement is in place between the United States, Canada, and Mexico, so nothing's going to change in the next few days or for a while. But these are the kinds of news that we're going to be focusing, because ultimately we are interested in the well-being of our country as it relates to the United States. Mexican Chancellor Marcelo Ebrard also chimed in on this topic. He was interviewed during a speech he gave, and he says that there's no reason to think that there is a fight or an argument at presidential level between Joe Biden and Andrés Manuel López Obrador. He seems to think that this is just a personal decision of our president, and we are going to hold on to that notion until we get better or more news. Regardless, I will share with you two news items about this in English. One comes from Yahoo News, and the other one comes from The Guardian in England, so that you can get a sense as to what the mindset is about in case you are interested in this situation. We are happy to read, as somebody just mentioned earlier today, that there is a COVID vaccine produced by Pfizer that has been tested on 43,500 people in 6 countries with no safety concerns raised. So they are claiming a 90% protection. So I'm going to leave you with an article in English that was published by CNET so we can all learn a little bit more about what's going on there. Um, Moving right along, it's unfortunate to see that in the state of Nuevo León, which is my birth state, north of Mexico, things have changed as far as COVID is concerned. Apparently, the COVID situation is a little bit more critical up north. So there was a new law passed out that people that are not wearing face masks will be put in jail. And literally, this happened over the course of the weekend. 19 people in the state of Nuevo León were sent to jail because they refused to wear face masks in public. Let us hope that such an extreme measure is not ever necessary in our state. But again, we are on this wait and see moment in which we need to see exactly what was the result of the emergency button, and we will not begin seeing this until Thursday and moving on. In other news, as I mentioned earlier, Governor Enrique Alfaro presented his second address to the state this past week, and he was praised and criticized alike by different parties. Among the things that people have praised him about has been his handling of the pandemic, but there are still a lot of issues that are unanswered because of the way the state prosecutor's office is handling a number of disappearances, of cases of people disappearing or arrested or killed without any kind of explanation. So, just like any politician, there's good things to him and there's not so many good things to him. And I just wanted to let you know that this happened. There is, I'm sure we can find a complete a transcript of his informe, his address, and we could break it down paragraph by paragraph. I don't think that will be necessary, but we will continue to see what happens in our state moving forward as far as all these important issues: employment, health, security, kidnappings, and of course, COVID-19. Let me stop quickly to take a look at your comments just to see what's on your mind. Bam bam bim bam. I don't mean to be controversial. Veterans Day relates to the end of World War II, doesn't it? And I don't think Mexico was directly involved like the U.S. Is it Veterans Day in the United States? Honestly, I don't know. And I don't think the question is controversial. I know that Mexico sent a troop for Second World War. We talked about this a few weeks ago, but no, we have not been largely involved in large war initiatives. Let's see. There's no circus. There's no politics. Yes, no, we don't want to talk much about politics here. But we want to talk about politics as they relate to the well-being of our country and as the well-being of our residents here in this bilingual destination called Puerto Vallarta. Lynn thinks Mexican president is being cautious. I think that's true too. I think he's being prudent. That's my personal feel. But of course, a lot of people have to chime in with their own opinion on this. Heather seems to feel the same way, and I tend to agree with that, of course. Ooh, somebody says, "Good morning, my love," and I feel like I'm blushing like a schoolgirl. I love it. Was that for me, Clark? I love it. I love it. Let's see. Okay, so let me move. Let me move into that. And thank you for that, Bev. Again, I have vowed and I have encouraged everybody to not get political here as far as the politics that are going on elsewhere, because they don't have anything to do, or they don't have much to do with our everyday lives here in Puerto Vallarta. And I am aware of the fact that there are people that believe in many different things here at Coffee and Headlines. And again, we will try to keep this as even and as welcoming and as respectful for everyone always. With that said, let us be respectful about the weather. And the weather's being cool. It's 26 degrees, one less degree than what we've been looking at on a regular basis. We've been around 27 and 28, but now it's 27 degrees. Feels like 28, and it's 78 Fahrenheit. Humidity is at 81%. What's going on, humidity? I thought that we were doing good, and let's hope that it doesn't increase in the next few days. Our lovely carrot weather pays tribute to the late Alex Trebek. Or is it Trebek? I don't know where the accent goes in his last name, but he says, "Rest in peace, Alex. Now you can host Celebrity Jeopardy with Sean Connery again." Isn't that sweet? Let's take a quick look. Celeste, let's not worry about this right now, shall we? Let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next few days. Today, it's going to be humid through the day. Tomorrow, same thing. And Wednesday, it's going to be humid and partly cloudy all 3 days with a high of 29 degrees centigrade. So it's not so bad. It's not bad at all. Let us take a quick look at other interesting things that are going on, or things that we should be mindful about. Today is the first day of El Buen Fin. Let us remember that El Buen Fin is this Mexican Black Friday equivalent in which stores all over the country try to bring out their best possible sales for consumers like you and I to go out and do our share for whatever we can do to reactivate the economy. It's usually just 1 week. This year, it's been extended, I believe, until the 14th. I don't remember the exact date, but it began today. I took a quick look at the Costco Mexico website, and yes, there were a ton of people there on sale. And I also took a quick look at the Amazon Mexico website, and I saw, again, a bunch of things for sale. Whether it is, oh, look at my flaps. They're all over the place. I feel like the flying nun. There is all kinds of things out there that you may or may not need. There are all kinds of sales that are really big sales or not so big sales. So, choose carefully. Make sure that you don't go out and max out your credit cards. I personally will be looking at, what I'm going to be looking for? At local hotels that are offering discounts, because I could use a staycation. I am in the mood for a staycation. So if you find any interesting, fun sales that we should know about, please share them in the next few days. I will be happy to do the same thing. Moving on with our news, this has to do with the Day of the Virgin of Guadalupe. That is coming up on December the 12th. As we know, there are pilgrimages that take place here in Puerto Vallarta, processions. Everything seems to indicate that none of that will happen because of COVID-19 concerns. And in Mexico City, we find out that there will be no festival for the Virgin of Guadalupe at the Basilica, which is the main, it's Virgin of Guadalupe headquarters in Mexico. The Basilica de Guadalupe Church in Mexico City will not be opening during December 11th or 12th, which are the busiest days of the year. I mean, all these faithful people go to the Basilica once a year for a pilgrimage to honor the Virgin of Guadalupe. None of that will be happening this year. And this is an indication of what the church celebrations around the country will look like for those people that are faithful Catholics. I don't think there's going to be much going on, which is, of course, unfortunate. But we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our well-being. Before I share my last headline with you, let me take a quick look at your comments before we move any further. What the heck is going on with humidity? We're not sure. But you know what? Even with humidity high, Lynn, yesterday I did my Sunday walk from El Libramiento to Moro Paraíso up the Rio Quale. It took about an hour to do, and it was, we felt a little schwitzy, but it was comfortable. It was actually nice. And now I'm looking forward to spending more time out and about with the camera, doing walking tours, et cetera, now that things are winding down. Absolutely. I see wonderful comments about Alex Trebek. I used to watch Jeopardy, not regularly, but I always enjoyed the fact that I always enjoyed watching the fact that he had the same job for 30 something years and he loved it. Um, let's see what else we have. Oh, that's wonderful to know. Thank you very much, Claude. Um, let's see. Yes, he was definitely a legend. He always conducted himself like a gentleman. Always, always. Uh, how are they going to stop the peregrinos? Well, simply, I think they're just going to say they can't happen. I think what they've said is they cannot happen. And can you stop people from walking down the street? That's a very good question, James. But I don't think we will see anything as organized as, I mean, for example, whenever we have the processions here, the intervention of the police is necessary. The people in charge here in the government in charge of vialidad, which is traffic, people need to close the streets. So if the local government does not close the streets for processions, the processions won't be able to take over the streets like they usually do. So I don't know exactly how it's going to be handled, but we're going to keep an eye on it in the next few days or as we get closer. Let us remember that November 20th is coming up as well. It's a day of in which Mexico celebrates the Mexican Revolution. And just as we did in the month of September, where we talked a little bit about history of Mexico, we are going to also be talking about the Mexican Revolution as we get close to the date, so that we can learn a little bit more about what was that like for Mexico from the perspective of history. And I hope you'll enjoy that. If you're excited about that, let me know. If you do not want to hear about the Mexican Revolution, let me know as well, because it involves all kinds of fun research that we can direct at other areas if you don't want to hear about that. But I think you do. My last link that I want to share, I am sure I have shared before, but I feel the obligation to always share this particular YouTube video with someone because it is such a spectacular moment in the world of pop music history. And this is Aretha Franklin singing "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman" for Carole King during the president's honors at the Kennedy Center. This was back in, I think it was 2016. Yes. This broadcast was absolutely spectacular. This rendition of the song by Aretha Franklin, with Carole King sitting there, is one of the most amazing moments of filmed pop soul music history. I am sure you've seen it, and if you have not seen it, you will love this. You will absolutely love it. It'll give you goosebumps in the way it was performed, and to watch Carole King's reactions as her own song is being sung by the woman that showed it to the world is absolutely spectacular. And let us not forget that for us to get chills during this spectacular performance, there was a producer. There was someone in a control room giving indication to some button pusher saying exactly the moment in which that person should switch from camera 1 to camera 2, when to pan, when to zoom, so the way this performance was produced, it's like television sex. I mean, behind every live show that we watch, there is a brilliant producer deciding when to switch from camera to camera. And to me, that is just absolutely humbling. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to invite you to watch it, and I hope it makes your day as bright as it made mine earlier today when I watched this for the umpteenth time. And that's our broadcast for today. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you again in the near future. In the meantime, stay kind, stay happy, stay hungry, and eat well, and stay in touch. And I will see you soon. Have a great day.